Good morning. Happy Thursday to all of our agents out there taking apps from consumers for Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans and who knows what else. This is Bill Kiray, and I'm joined this morning by Shalicia Hughes.
Hey guys.
Hi, Shalicia's one of our regional sales managers here at Schloss and Fleming. So Shalicia, before we get into the insurance stuff, I want to talk a little bit about lunch. Because anyone who knows you here at the building knows,
Yes.
Lunch is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about the other day because I was fiending for barbecue, and you and I love that barbecue place by the old office. Shameless plug here for Two Brothers Barbecue in Presto.
They have good barbecue.
Yeah. How do you feel about the barbecue place that we got from the other day? Was it Hogfather's? Was that the name of the place down in Canonsburg?
Yeah, they were good too. They were good too. I did like it when we were outside. We had a little barbecue for the entire team. That was really good. It's really good, but it's not Two Brothers.
It's not Two Brothers. Well, the one thing that I found specifically about Hogfather's that was okay, but very specifically was like here and here versus Two Brothers was a cornbread.
Yes.
You know what I still haven't done? Like I finally came through on making the lobster bisque soup that I've been talking about for a while.
Finally got to taste that. It was delicious.
Yeah, thank you. I gotta make that special cornbread. Have I talked to you about that? Where I put in like the roasted red pepper and the chilies in there?
Yeah, I think you have talked about it, but we haven't tried it yet.
Okay, all right. Well, we got to get to that because I know when it comes to lunchtime, it's very important.
Thinking about it now.
Yeah. So of all the places around here in our new office, what is your favorite lunch spot? Like when you're having a really tough morning, you're like, I need a good lunch today. What's your go-to now?
Well, just in general, my go-to is always going to be Jersey Mike's. Like, I just love their subs. Like, I just like a good turkey and provolone, Mike's Way, with everything on it. So it's always going to be my go-to.
Yeah. Well, I've tried Jimmy John's, but I don't know. Like when I have a sub, I don't like just the cold deli subs. Like I like something that's kind of warm in there, like a grilled chicken or the cheesesteaks at Jersey Mike's are really good. Yeah. But that's my only thing with Jimmy John's. Like I want them to grill something and put it on a bun.
Yeah, I like the cold. I just like, and just in general, I just like turkey sandwiches in general. Like even at home, like I'll just make a turkey sandwich just randomly. Like I just.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving's coming up. Talk to me about your turkey strategy. Do you intentionally buy a turkey that's 4 to 6 pounds too much, more than what you need, just so you got extra for the fresh turkey sandwiches?
Honestly, Bill, I don't buy the turkey. I just go to Grandma's, and she has everything ready to go.
All right. Does she know that she's loading you up with leftovers, though?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, just want to make sure you're getting taken care of, because I would buy an extra big turkey and just make sure that you're getting that fresh.
Yeah, Grandma knows. She'll have everything laid out.
Awesome. All right. Good deal. Well, hey, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about leads. You and I were chatting the other day about some of your agents and managing leads, and one of the things that we talked about is that there are a lot of agents that think that they know the right way to work leads, and a lot of times, like, we'll talk to them and they're like, it just didn't work out, or I got all these responses, I just couldn't set appointments, and sometimes we've discussed this. Sometimes agents just have the wrong approach. So when you talk to agents who aren't successful in leads, what are the mistakes they're making? Like, where are they falling down on them? Like, what do you typically see when you're having those discussions?
Persistency. Like, I think that you have to go in knowing that first call, that second call, you may not get the client on the phone, but it may be down the road 7 or 8 calls later that you'll finally get them on the phone and finally be able to set the appointment. So I think that agents definitely have to stay on top of it if they want to work leads. Don't just give up on those first few calls, because it could be, that later set of calls that you'll be able to get the client on the phone, schedule an appointment, and actually be able to write an app. I've seen it happen.
Well, you're so right about that. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to an agent about leads, and we're talking about leads. Really, what we're talking about right now is like direct mail BRCs. That you send out that changes in Medicare piece or the turning 65 one or whatever, and you get the return cards back. I found like 2 groups of agents. Like the first group of agents are the ones that when they get those cards back, they look at that card like there is someone's grandma or grandpap just sitting there next to like the rotary phone.
Yeah.
Like when is Bob gonna call? I'm waiting for Bob to call. And when Bob makes that phone call and grandma or grandpap doesn't answer, or they get they're like, I don't understand what happened. They should have been waiting for my call.
Exactly. That's not the case.
No. Well, and you were talking about, like, 6, 7, 8 attempts. When we had that captive shop that we were running out of our office, Focus Senior Benefits, for a couple years, it was astonishing to me, because we had always talked about, hey, you may need to call these 6, 7, 8 times. But I was thinking, like, is that actually, like, I hadn't had the direct experience with it. It was really neat to see, because we had a lot of you guys when you were a marketer.
I did some of those calls, and I'm telling you from experience, you got to keep calling.
Well, and the neat thing about our CRM system that we were running with Frank and Ricky and Chris actually was one of our FSB agents, and now he's one of our agency managers. But we could see how many phone calls we made to that number, and the average number of calls that we had for the ones that we sold was 7. Which is crazy.
Magic number.
Yeah, no, 7 is a lucky number. But, agents, when you're out there, when you have those lead cards, just think about the fact one call probably isn't going to get it done. Certainly not at all. And we've had that experience firsthand. Exactly. So let me ask you this, Shalicia. So let's say that we had a new agent. We'll call him Jim. Okay? Jim was recruited by one of the marketers on your team. You and Kristen are working with that agent, and you get a hold of Jim. And Jim says, hey, Shalicia, I've got some cash. I want to dump it into leads. Let's say he's having this conversation with you in September, okay, pre-AEP, and he says, I'm going to send out 10,000 pieces. Okay. If you were to coach Jim through how to build the plan of when the responses start coming back in, about how to manage their leads, what does that plan look like? How are you building that lead management A through Z? How are you helping Jim build that?
Okay. Well, first things first, Jim wants to make sure that he has a system in place to potentially, if you need to store the leads, update the data, notes, things like that. You need to have some sort of system, whether it's a CRM or it's directly through the lead vendor where they have, their own systems where you can update those leads, or even as simple as an Excel, spreadsheet, just somewhere that you can you take notes. And be able to kind of track what you're doing with those leads. That's first things first, because you want to remain organized when you're working the leads. So once you get everything organized on how you want to do that, you want to call those leads as they come in immediately. You don't want to wait. When you put out the lead mailers, it's like a 3 to 4 week time frame before you start getting responses back. And those people are probably kind of already may have forgotten that they filled something out. So you want to catch them as soon as you get the lead, make the call, make the note. And then once again, back to, staying persistent. Just make sure that you keep calling, make sure that you're updating. If you do get an appointment, make sure that you do have that set, somewhere set where you can get the reminder. Like if, you have calendar on your phone or on your email, to make sure that you're going out to those appointments on time. And then also before you go to the appointments, you want to check back in with those clients, because, worst thing is you set an appointment, you go, and no one shows up because you didn't confirm.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me drop back to something you said kind of towards the beginning about calling them right away. And we kind of made the joke before about, grandma sitting by the phone, like waiting for that phone call. One of the things that I think is interesting is that when I talk to agents about BRCs and getting them back in, they have, I don't want to say all of them do, but a lot of agents have the impression that card is the only card that consumer filled out. Like it was just the one, like you have Agnes, sitting there in her house, rolling through the mail and like, here is the only lead card I'm going to return. That I think is important to note, that if you have someone who is willing to send one of them back in, they may be sending
a couple.
Yeah, they probably send a couple. So to your point about, every day that lead card is not called, it could be 2, 4, 6 other agents, ringing that phone.
Yes. You have to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Now, do you find that with the agents that you work with on leads, that management system is really one of the biggest barriers? Because I know that we've got one lead company that we work with, at Target Leads. They've got a lead management tool, and that's why a number of agents that like working with Target, they like that tool. You know, do you find that's the biggest barrier for agents? You know, specific to being successful is just the management of, here are the leads that I've got, here's where I'm at with them.
Yeah, I think that having a good system in place that you kind of keep track of what's going on with your leads definitely will help, a lot. And I think that agents, sometimes like fall off by the wayside with that type of thing. Like you have to stay up with it. You have to take these notes, and then that will help you with your call count too, to get to that lucky number 7. Yeah. So, just staying on top of those types of systems is a good idea, for agent as well.
Yeah, I know for me, well, you and I are both Excel people. Like we both really like Excel. If it were me, I would just have an Excel panel, and it's like, okay, I'm getting my card in, and I'm typing in, here's, Kathleen emblem, here's the address, and then I would just have a status, like where am I at with it, and I probably would have a column for like call 1, call 2, call 3. So I had an idea, how many calls were I placing to these people, and that's kind of what we were doing with the old captive shop, was so that we understood. Hey guys, yeah, you've called this person, 5 times already. Yeah, we need another 3 calls. To make sure we get to that magic number.
Exactly. And then another thing that I recommend for agents to do is to send a personal letter as well. I've had agents have success with that. So with the lead, if they're not able to get in touch with them, to send out a personal letter. Even sometimes they may send a copy of the lead card with the letter, like, hey, you filled this in. I'm just reaching out to help you out. And I actually had an agent literally the other day tell me, like, I sent the letter and she called me and said, I got your letter. Yeah. So, that's another thing with as far as keeping up and being persistent, not just calling them, sending them a personal note as well.
Well, I think that's a great point, because if you think about the consumer this time of year, they're probably getting cold called, although they shouldn't be. Compliance note, ding, ding. Don't cold call people. Even if you think you're calling for MedSup, that MedSup consumer is going to want a PDP, and then where are you at? You're in compliance jail. Don't do it. Don't cold call people. But, they're getting cold calls from people who are non-compliant. That, if they filled out 3 or 4 lead cards, they're probably getting multiple calls from the agent. So that personal letter probably stands out to them as oh, look at this. Oh, hi, Kathleen, this is Bob. I got your lead card. I've left you a couple messages, but I just want to make sure that you're all set up for AEP. Do you have a letter that you've sent to our agents before? Like, do they ask you for that?
Well, actually, I have agents that come up with their own letter, and then they send it to us to be checked for compliance. Okay. And then, kind of do a little editing. Maybe you should include this, or maybe you should take this out. And then they're able to send those letters. So I do have agents that, want to run the letter by me before they send it out.
Okay. So if you're working leads right now and you're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm just not getting the success that I want with them, why don't you think about trying that personal letter? And if you want to get in touch with Shalicia can help you work on that letter to have it be absolutely tip-top. We're going to have her email address right down here, so copy that down. I like how I do the magic thing. Like, I know Ryan's going to put the email address on the video, but you can go ahead and reach out to Shalicia, toss that kind of sample text to her, and work with her, and she'll put you in a great position to be successful there. Do you give agents any coaching on the message that they leave? Because we do coaching on when our recruiters are leaving messages for agents. Like, what do you say? What don't you say? Do you have any tips for our agents out there specific to, when you're leaving a voicemail message, you got to say this, or dear Lord, don't say that?
Well, when you're leaving a voicemail message, it's good to be to the point. You don't want to leave like a 5-minute voicemail message for a client. And you definitely, for the older clients, you want to leave your phone number twice. Like, I stress that so much. You have to say it twice so that, they can know to call you back. But, just something, quick to the point, and just make sure that phone number that you leave for them, you leave it twice. Yeah,
that's a good point. And that's coaching we give our marketers as well, when they're leaving the phone number. So I think that's great insight on the leads, and certainly in looking back, and you and I started talking about this like over the last couple of days. We were talking about getting together this morning. that the agents that you've worked with typically have been so much more successful with their leads and being able to convert them to sales, which is why I wanted to get together with you on it this morning. So just kind of switching gears just a little bit, let's kind of talk about AEP. What are you hearing from your agents? Either about people wanting to just meet virtually because of COVID, or products that are really blowing up. Like, what are some things that are going on in your markets that you're hearing that you kind of think are interesting tidbits?
Well, it's very different, this AEP, because a lot of things are, remote now, virtual. So I do have agents that are running those virtual meetings. I do still have some agents that are on the ground. They're wanting to still, work with some of the food banks and still host meetings, of course, socially distanced. So I do still see that. I do see a lot of my agents gravitating to Medicare Center. So they are just in love with that. So I'm doing like Medicare Center walkthroughs daily.
Yep.
So it's a really good system to help, store client information, do scope of appointment, look up drugs and doctors, do the enrollment, just all in one place. So my agents are really loving the Medicare Center. So I do questions about that every day. As far as the markets, I do see some different changes depending on the different markets, but I think overall it's been pretty stable.
Yeah.
In the markets that I'm working in.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, because you're focused on our South region, and a lot of your agents are in North Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Florida, like those Tennessee and Virginia are two other big states for you guys. I would agree with you. Like, I kept looking for like big disruptions. And I didn't think there were going to be a lot of any, because the revenue on the federal side was really so high this year that there didn't seem like there would be a lot of reason for plans to shift dramatically. Either, we're blowing up the premium, or we're terming a plan, or, we're making massive changes to copays. Like, I didn't see it, and that's how it played out. But, one thing that has been interesting to me is the regional difference between, in this market, people are running face-to-face appointments like 100% of the time, where we've got other markets where agents are like, nobody's letting me in their house. Like, it ain't happening.
Yeah, it's definitely different between the markets. Like, and like I said, I get a mix in the South region, depending on the state that we're looking into, whether or not they're going to be doing remote or still doing those face-to-face socially distanced appointments.
Yeah. Well, one state that's interesting that's also in your territory is South Carolina, because I've talked to agents and agencies down there, and we talk about. I asked one of our agency principals the other day. I said, how's this impacting your sales? And he said, come on, man, like, COVID isn't even real down here. Like, and I said, what do you mean? He said, literally, he was talking to me about going out to a restaurant with his wife, like after work the one night. And he said, we went out to a restaurant, and literally the staff wasn't in masks. There weren't people in masks. He's like, what's a mask? Like, nobody knows what stuff is. Then we talk to agents in other states, and they'll tell us, like, yeah, you try like just walking into like a Walgreens real quick, like not even going back to the pharmacy, like you're just trying to pop in and like grab a pack of gum without a mask. It's like you got guys with shotguns, like you got to get out of here, and that's what makes it so hard to try to build a strategy to help our agents, because what's South Carolina is different from Indiana, what's different from PA, what's certainly different from New York.
Absolutely.
It's just wild.
Yeah. But we're pushing through.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're making the adjustments.
Yeah, and the one thing that I think is really great is, I mean, you were talking about Medicare Center. That tool is really giving our agents the ability that if they are in a market where their consumers are, tentative about doing face-to-face, we can email you the quote. We can do text to enroll. Like it's got all of these options. It's so improved from last year, and specifically the text to enroll, I think, is a great thing. Like I remember when we first started talking about that feature, I thought, well, if someone, like, if they're doing text, like certainly they can do email, but for whatever reason, that seems to be generating so much more interest with our agents' clients that was kind of surprising me. Like I thought that people would like it, but the responsiveness on text to enroll was well past what I thought it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Because, email, it can get bogged down. Like, it can really be a lot. Whereas, like, a text message pops right up, and it's like, oh, yeah, I just did this application. Let me go ahead and finish it off. You know what I mean? It's a little bit easier, I guess you can say, probably for the seniors versus having to scroll through a bunch of emails to find the right one.
Yeah. Circling just real quick back to the lease thing, since we're talking about Medicare Center, I'll be interested post AEP to try to talk to our agents who used Medicare Center the most and find out how much they use that CRM feature. Because you were talking about managing leads and like do you do an Excel spreadsheet? Do you use the system that like the lead company provides? And when we started talking about like the client database section, my first thought was, hey, you could use this to manage your leads. It's like, okay, let's here's Bob Smith, here's Kathleen Emblem, here's Laverne Wozniak, like just working it through. I'll be interested to get a feel for that. Like, have any of the agents talked to you specifically about that part of it? Are they using it yet, or is it just I'm just trying to get through my enrollments and I'll figure out the CRM part later?
I think I've had a few agents mention the CRM feature on Medicare Center. I think I actually had an agent that had leads imported into there, and it's working from Medicare Center with the leads. So I am going to probably circle back and get some more feedback on that. But I do have agents that have mentioned it. It is a nice feature.
Yeah, no, it is. All right, so last thing I've got for you before we kind of close out for the day. I heard a random employee. I'm not gonna say who it was the other day. I heard a random employee talking about how ridiculous Josh and Chris and I look with our mustaches. On Tuesday's episode, I know I've been teasing the mustache pictures from our agents, and I wanted to wait until our next episode, which is going to be Tuesday, the 17th at 7 a.m. I wanted to wait till Rob was back in the office to go through the mustache pictures, because he's another big proponent of that. But if you had to vote, creepy or not creepy on the mustaches, what do you go with? Like seriously, and you can say creepy, Shalicia, because my mother tells me it's creepy. So if my mom can say to me, Bill, you look creepy with a mustache, it's cool. But when you're seeing us roll in the November mustaches, what are you thinking?
I'm not gonna lie to you, but it is a little creepy. You guys all look so different. Like I come in, I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Yeah. That is Chris. Okay, that's Josh. All right, they're doing this thing again. It's like every year, it's like clockwork. It's a little creepy. I can't wait till you guys get it.
So you've got December 1st circled on the calendar, like, dear God,
finally,
get the razors back. Well, I knew I could count on you to give me the straight. I knew I could count on you. So, but like I said, I was rolling past someone's desk the other day, and they didn't know that I was there, and I just heard them say the words mustaches and creepy, and I was like, I got to talk to Shalicia about this when we get together.
Just a little creepy.
All right, so we will see you next Tuesday, November 17th at 7 a.m. I'm going to have Rob Turnbull here with me. We're going to get those mustache pictures to you. I will look even creepier than I do today, because I'll have another 5 days of growth on this bad boy right here. So for Shalicia Hughes, I'm Bill Kiray, and this has been Near and Far. Have a great day. Take care.